I, a 33-year-old man, messed up with my 30-year-old wife over my parents' early 60s, and I have no idea how to make things right. Background: I am an only child, and I have always been told that I must take care of my parents when they get older. They've tried their best to provide for my needs, so for the most part I don't mind, and I'm happy to lend a hand when I can. I was pleased to find that my wife agreed with me when we got married. She handles my parents as if they were her own. The main problem is that my folks are here on a visit right now. After 2 months, they are expected to stay for an additional 3 weeks. For us, this has not been a problem. My wife assumed she was having her period a few days ago, but after a while she started to feel really uncomfortable. I hurried her to the emergency room, where we discovered she was miscarrying. Neither of us had any suspicions, thus this came as a tremendous surprise to us both. We informed my parents, at her demand, that she had a stomach upset that was made worse by her period, and that she was sent home with instructions to relax and take it easy. The following day, while I was at work and my wife was relaxing in bed, my mother entered the room and asked her when she was going out of bed since she had work to do. This is based on what my wife told me. She graciously answered that she would be spending the entire day in bed because she didn't feel good. However, if my mother needed something done, she should write it down and she'll take care of it the next day. My mum was informed by my wife, Lucy, that if the situation was really serious, she would ask me to handle it later in the evening. After that, my mother yelled at her, calling her a bad Lacey who had taken advantage of her son. My mum screamed at Lucy till she took up the phone and called me when Lucy began to weep and wanted to leave the room. Lucy apparently went out and closed the door when my mum left the room when she said that. She was still crying when I answered the phone, and she was unable to speak with me. I therefore hurried home at lunchtime. I regret to inform you that when she gave me the entire tale, I didn't think it was true. I never saw my mother acting in that way, and she had never behaved in that way before. After I coaxed Lucy into a slumber, I asked my mother what had happened. She informed me that she had simply asked Lucy what she wanted for lunch. Once again, I made a mistake when Lucy began to cry, revealed that Lucy had experienced a miscarriage, and advised my mother to watch Lucy closely because her tears could have been brought on by her hormones. Lucy calls me again 2 hours after I returned to work, and this time I can hear my mum yelling horrible things at Lucy about her loss. I immediately ran home and addressed my folks. My dad stated he didn't want to be drawn into the matter, and my mom showed no remorse. When I asked Lucy what she wanted, she informed me that she urgently wanted my parents to leave the house. This presented a challenge for me, so I informed her that I would book them into a hotel for a couple of nights. After what my mum had told her, she lost it and told me not to spend a single cash on them. I apologized to her, but since my parents relied on me, it was not an option. I left her alone for a while after she began to cry and told me to leave. She had contacted her brother, who lives in the next town, during that time, and he showed up. He simply assisted Lucy in packing and they departed without exchanging a word. She told me that she wouldn't remain here as long as my parents were, despite my attempts to stop her and persuade her to stay. I had no idea what to do. I simply continued phoning her and leaving her messages. Her parents are in another country, and my parents decided to phone them and basically insult them by saying that if they had raised their daughter properly, she wouldn't have gone. I had to take the phone away from them and tell her parents I was sorry. I had to explain everything to them because they were really confused, and then they hung up on me. That was painful. I apologized once more in a message, but they didn't respond. My wife sent me a message the following day requesting me to visit her brother's house. We chatted when I went after work. She informed me that it was unfair that although my parents were living in their own home, she couldn't. She said it felt like she was being punished without any fault of her own. She then threatened to leave me if my parents didn't leave by the end of the week using their own funds, not ours. My dad says they'll go when they plan to leave, and that if I keep pressuring them, they'll disown me, even though I know my parents need to depart. Every time I tell them this, they just won't leave the house. My wife will leave me if I don't get them out while I'm at work all day, and I can't fathom my life without her. Her leaving me won't bother my parents. The possibility of my parents disowning me doesn't bother my wife. Her brother contacted me yesterday and said she hates me a bit more every day that my parents are in our house and she isn't. I have no idea what to do. Because, well, my parents are my parents, I don't want to call the cops to force them to leave. My wife cannot leave me. I don't see how this can be resolved. Please assist me. This is one of those circumstances where something has to give. It may seem like a difficult decision, but you have to choose between your parents and your wife. In my opinion, you should follow your wife. She is your family, and the person you are married to. Your extended family now consists of your parents. To be honest, I don't think it's that difficult of a decision. You must, of course, choose your bride. Thus, find a way to get your parents out of there, and accept the consequences if they disown you. Your wife was forced to leave her home because of their disdain for her. They don't care that she might leave you. They insulted her parents by calling them. You've probably been taught that you should support your parents as they age. But in this particular instance, I think you have the right to say no when they start acting like jerks. My wife is my choice, even though it might just be a cultural issue and I'm talking out of my ass. How about all of you? In the event that you were in the position of OP? Tell me in the space provided for comments. Let's now see what the community has to say by reading through their comments. Lucy NJ1992 says, "Your parents need to leave now. Call the cops. You made a commitment to your wife. I understand that they are your parents, but come on, man. Your mother treated your wife horribly after she learned about the miscarriage. She continued to verbally abuse her to the point that you could hear her over the phone. Your first reaction should have been to throw them the hell out and not pay for it. Furthermore, they called her parents, who most likely didn't know what was going on, and bashed her. What in the hell is wrong with you? Kick them out. If you don't, your wife may never forgive you. You didn't believe her the first time, and you let your parents stay in her home. From where she sits, after miscarrying, you are completely taking their side. Your mother sounds horrid, and your father as well. Kick them out as soon as possible, or you may damn well lose your wife. Do you want that? Because you are. Basically saying, sorry hun, they come first. You're an adult. Grow up." Imelda's Narcos says, "When you sided with your mom, you basically accused your wife of lying to you. When you said you couldn't see your mother yelling at her like that, you essentially told your wife that she was a liar. Your wife is dealing with a miscarriage. It F's with everything about your being, both physically, hormones are no effing joke, and emotionally. There's a very real possibility that she's grieving right now. Everything you have done since this first incident has shown her that you do not value your family with her the way that you value your parents. You've got a choice to make right now. Her or your parents. Lastly, your wife did not put you in this position. You did. What she is asking is totally reasonable. She was verbally assaulted in her home while she was vulnerable. If it was you in that position, would you be okay with the assailant staying in your home? If you had believed your wife and stood up for her from the get-go, you would not be in this position. If you choose to support her in this, it's important that you deal with any resentment you feel without taking it out on her. The truth hurts. According to the Truth Hurts Donut, I would leave my husband in a heartbeat if he ever allowed his parents to treat me this way. And if my parents ever spoke to my husband the way yours spoke to your wife, I would have them removed from our home by police escort if need be, cut them completely out of my life immediately, and never look back. Your parents sound like horrible people, and you are nothing but a coward for not standing up to them. The things your mother said to your wife, holy crap. If you want to fix this, be a freaking man right now and tell your parents to get effed, and then do whatever you can to make it up to your wife if you even can. Parents or not, they have shown nothing but disrespect to the woman that you say you love. Do you really want that toxic BS in your life? Do you really want to associate with people who are acting like complete a-holes? It is evident, though, where the community stands and what they believe OP ought to do. Let's now examine the updates that the OP's wife wrote and see what transpired. Here's OP's spouse. While we were having our much-needed talk, he showed me this post and wow, it received a lot of responses. First of all, the amount of support in the comments astounded me. For the most part, I've been okay, and I wanted to let everyone know that. Although neither of us understood how to feel about this abrupt and unexpected miscarriage, we've come to terms with it and are hoping for a more favorable outcome soon. Second, to set the scene for the preceding post in which Indian user Adariel was correct, it's kind of expected in our society that you assist your parents as they age. Long visits and other events are also typical for parents. Thirdly, my hubby is a decent man. I can appreciate the hate directed at him for not seeing his parents' previous actions, but the truth is that neither of us was able to accept that his parents were capable of acting in such a way. He didn't grow up spending a lot of time with his parents. He never really spent much time at home to observe their behavior, because he lived with his grandparents while attending college, and with an aunt and cousin while attending school. I've only ever spent a week with them, and my parents were also present during that time. Now, let's get to the real update. My husband, Jack, also went to my brother's flat after he booted out his parents, saying, "Take me home." But before he did, we had a lengthy talk in which we discussed everything, leading us to the first and third points previously indicated. To offer us solitude, my brother graciously lent us his flat for the evening. When I asked Jack about his plans with his parents, he told me that he wouldn't allow them to rejoin our family until they offered an apology. We will let them see any future kids as long as they apologize, but only under supervision. They won't ever be left alone with the kids. He apologized for siding with his parents and is now fully on my side. He informed me that he found it difficult to accept that his parents, who he had always held in the highest regard, could act in such a way. Together with him, I sobbed. I'm delighted he's on my side, but I can't even begin to understand the pain he must be going through to shut your parents out of your life in that way. To address this entire cutting parents out scenario, we'll be attending several group counseling sessions together, and I'm hoping to convince him to attend individual sessions as well. He reserved a hotel room for the two of us for the following day, telling me to do everything I wanted, relax, and order room service. Then he made arrangements for housekeepers to tidy our flat, saving me the trouble. He even hired a steam cleaner for the carpet. I was astounded. The room service was excellent. I'm a little bummed that I have to cook now. Now that we're securely back at home, being by ourselves is nice. His parents have taken a plane to live with his Aunt Sandra, the perfect environment for them, in my opinion, because she doesn't put up any nonsense at all. He intended to give her a call to inform her of the situation, but she ended up phoning him the evening his parents arrived, inquiring as to why we had expelled them. She assured them she would take care of it after he told her exactly what had transpired, and warned her not to allow them to disseminate false information about me. In order to counter any attempts by his parents to turn his relatives against us, he also called a couple of his close cousins to inform them of what had transpired. They are unable to. She gave us another call last night, expressing their frustration that no one appeared to understand them. It seems that when my mother-in-law married my father-in-law, her mother-in-law expected her to wait on her hand and foot and do all the chores, so on and so forth. She was apparently waiting for Jack to get married so she could get the same treatment in return. Jack told me that he heard his mom screaming in the background about the devil her son had married, and Sandra yelled back at her, "You're the devil! Hold your tongue!" It also somewhat explains why his father remained silent. He was accustomed to his mother, Jack's grandmother, treating his wife, Jack's mother, in that manner. So when his wife yelled those things at me, he didn't even bat an eye. Honestly, there are moments when I feel bad for his mother because she is married to someone who allowed them to be treated that way. I'm hoping that by spending time with Sandra, his parents would finally come to their senses and realize that if they don't apologize, they won't have anybody to lean on. Oh. And we also had a conversation with my parents and resolved everything with them. I believe that now, more than before, they view Jack like a son. While we've both shown our gratitude multiple times, we've also phoned my brother for the upcoming weekend. We're bringing him out to a fantastic meal, and I'm preparing a lot of his favorite foods for him to take home. Please let me know if you think of any other ways to express your gratitude to him. That's all there is to it then. We're going to order pizza and binge-watch Doctor Who, I think. Again, I appreciate all of the responses. Alright, congrats to you both. I appreciate you sharing the entire tale in this update so much. It was fantastic to watch how you all came to work together as a team, figured everything out, and are now in a much better situation. If Jack's parents don't change their ways and offer an apology, then that's it. Hopefully, they will see the light. Let's go on to the next post, everyone else. The author of this post, Undecided Min, is from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Can't have white rope lights to celebrate Christmas? Okay, get ready for the color explosion. My wife and I had recently gotten married around 20 years prior, and we were renting an apartment with sliding doors and windows that opened out to the parking lot. In honor of our first Christmas together, my wife installed a white rope light on the railing of our 2-foot grilling space. It was a thoughtful little thing. We went out to supper that evening, and when we got home, there was a letter under our door. The letter stated that all holiday lights must be removed immediately from the exterior portion of the condo. Christmas or other religious lighting is against HOA policy, and failure to remove can result in fines and other legal actions. I couldn't believe how awful my wife felt. A copy of the HOA rules was left by the condo's owner, and I discovered a convenient little loophole. It seems that they may control the lighting outside the unit, such as on the balcony or grilling area. Now it's your turn. I promptly took my spouse to a large hardware store where I procured 2 substantial Christmas trees, approximately 2,000 multicolored lights, a light bulb, and any seasonal accent I could locate. There were 3 windows and a sliding glass door in our condo. I lit up every single one of those windows, making crisscrossing lines around the interior of each one, and one of them had the lead ball hanging in the middle. The Christmas tree was fully visible behind the sliding door, decked up with lights and decorations. The sliding doors had Christmas lights hanging from them as well. You saw a beacon of light full of Christmas cheer when you pulled into the apartment complex parking lot. Even though my electric bill must have tripled, it's likely that the condo was visible from orbit. The HOA snitch could say nothing at all. It seems that a proposed regulation amendment to restrict the quantity of Christmas illumination visible through windows was discussed at the next board meeting. Another HOA member, an attorney, subtly brought up the fact that you most likely couldn't control what goes on inside someone's house. We left before the following year, but I never got another notice. Ah, OP, lovely malicious compliance, just showing off to your nosy neighbors who think they have the right to take control of your life. Excellent work, OP. Now that the video has come to a conclusion, it's that moment. I hope you liked the stories we read today. It was a pleasure reading them to you. If this is the case, then feel free to like the video without hesitation. Remember to subscribe and even share this video with anyone you think would find my narrative entertaining. If you have time, please also check out all the links I've included in the video description, from our Discord community to my channel merchandise. Lastly, I just want to say, thanks for watching.